to my channel where we talk about all things Transformers and Transformers action figure related. And today on my channel we're going to be taking a look at the IDW Transformers War World issue 30. Now if we remember what happened at the end of issue 29, then the Forge, where all of the sparks of these few other Titans were hidden by Perceptor, the cheeky little bugger, were demolished and then hidden from everybody, so were unable to be used because the Decepticons attacked and made the Forge close in on itself, and Perceptor had hidden all of the Titan sparks underneath the Forge. So this is where issue number 30 is going to pick up. So let's kick off by looking at the cover art, and it is absolutely gorgeous. This cover art is absolutely fantastic. We see good old Cyclonus here on the front with the big crosshairs on Optimus Prime, and also Pyromagna, but I think they've drawn the vents incorrectly, because when you look at Pyromagna actually in the rest of the book, you'll see the vents on the side are slightly different. So it is Pyromagna, but maybe they had an original idea for how those vents were going to go and then didn't follow through. Who knows? But lovely, beautiful artwork there. So as I've already said, we're reminded that the Forge has collapsed at this point, and potentially all of the Titan sparks are now lost to Optimus and the rest of the Autobots. The main players in this one are Optimus Prime, Megatron, Cyclonus, Striker, Pyromagna, and Sunstreaker. Sunstreaker looking very, very close to his Earthrise form in this, as you'll see when we go into it. Now this issue goes kind of back and forth in time, very close time, should we say, but it does start off with holograms of Optimus and Megatron talking about how absurd this whole situation is and how they're going to rule, how they're going to go forward, when Prime claims to have the Matrix in his chest and he thinks that gives him the right to rule even though the Senate no longer exists, and Prime basically says no, not to rule. And Megatron continues to call him Orion Pax, which is quite funny. Lots of people so far in this, in the last one as well, Perceptor wasn't sure about calling him Optimus Prime and wanted to call him Orion Pax. A little bit of trouble. He's not over, let's be fair. The Optimus Prime name, it's not over. Prime then goes on to explain that his fear of the future and what Megatron will create is what gives him the right to feel that he can enforce anything upon the future of Cybertron. We can see that there is two illusions of them talking to each other, with Pyromagna holding up one and Striker holding on to the other one. We can then see that Optimus Prime says, Optimus Prime, I am Orion Pax no longer. And Megatron says, ha! I do not think so. Orion Pax. He continues to call him Orion Pax. Gonna be an ongoing joke, I think. So we see earlier that Pyromagna and Prime were talking about what was gonna happen, what's gonna go down. Prime is saying, I need to have a face-to-face meeting with Megatron. Pyromagna is saying that basically if you have a meeting with Megatron, he's going to lock you up or something. He then reels off a huge list of bots that they already have control over, including Striker, Blitzwing, Infiltration Troopers, Rainmakers, Shockwave, and hundreds of others. At the moment, Pyromagna actually doesn't really know what side Pyromagna is going to fall down on, whether or not they're going to become an Autobot or a Decepticon, and hopefully by the end of this issue they'll make their mind up. It then cuts back to Megatron and Prime talking, and Megatron is thinking like, what are you trying to achieve? Prime says that he's just trying to achieve anything that will basically stop any more of this hurt and people dying. Megatron basically says, no, you're only here for the Titan sparks. Prime says, no, how can you even think that? And then asks, are they lost or were they destroyed? Megatron says that all of the lower levels have been destroyed, so the sparks are lost. Prime says, I've been within the Matrix, Megatron, and I felt there was something worse to come if you don't stop. And we can see Megatron and Prime still talking here. Prime lets Megatron know that he cannot stand aside, win or lose. He has to resist the catastrophe that Megatron is going to bring. Megatron says, that's all I need to know, and then basically ends the transmission and hangs up. So Pyromagna ends the transmission when Prime says as well. Then it's just left between Pyromagna and Stryker to have a conversation, saying that they've not actually seen each other for a long time. Pyromagna says, I don't have any idea if you can trust me, basically, because I don't know you. Prime says, but if I asked you to stop, would you stop? Pyromagna says, if you command me, warriors take commands, not requests. Prime says, I do not just need a warrior. And anyways, Nominus Prime commanded you to stop, and you didn't. Pyromagna says, no, I didn't. They then have a flashback to a time where Pyromagna was attacking Turmoil. And then you can see here that this is the ship here. And they took some shots even though they were told not to, trying to disable the ship. And the ship went boom! And they just don't know why. Pyromagna then goes on to explain that he was the universe's answer to Turmoil. He's still waiting to see what answer the universe has to him, and whatever that answer may be still to come, I still cannot tell you that I regret what I did. So nobody really knows what happened here, but he doesn't regret it. Stryker tells Pyromagna that you're on the wrong side of history this time, and then, just as they're having a conversation about who's actually on the right side, because remember, Pyromagna hasn't made up the mind where they were going to be, Cyclonus enters the fray and starts to attack them both. Letting rip against Pyromagna, we can see that Pyromagna's actually unarmed, so Cyclonus takes this opportunity to enact some revenge. Away from them, you can see that Sunstreaker, and this is what I was talking about with Sunstreaker, really looking like his Earthrise version. Fantastic, looks much better than the actual figure, even down to the gun that they've made, is making an attempt to kind of save Pyromagna. So you can see this little strike force here, and Gears as well. So they're fighting against a couple of Decepticons, and also we see Redwing in this one, and they enact a battle against each other. I'm not sure about what this one's called, but it's pretty damn cool. So here we see Windcharger. My apologies, I've been calling him Gears all the way through this. So we see Windcharger here, looking absolutely fantastic. The Seeker asks, who's Windcharger? And Windcharger is there and then destroys this Seeker. Can someone tell me maybe down in the comments, why is Windcharger so powerful? I came into these comics at the beginning of Warworld, so I don't know why Windcharger is so powerful, but he looks like really super beastie powerful, and I should know why. We then cut to the battle between Cyclonus and Pyromagna, where Cyclonus is saying, you knew there were prisoners, dozens of them. You knew there was amnesty, you knew we'd won. So he's trying to enact this revenge. Pyromagna says, I understand. You have a just cause, and I've been waiting for you. And then just as Cyclonus pulls out his sword, we then cut back to the conversation between Prime and Pyromagna. And this is the conversation where Pyromagna puts it to Prime that he should not meet really in face-to-face, and he should send him, and then Megatron can send Stryker, so that they can still meet, but only in a virtual space, so they're not putting Prime's life at risk. Just as Cyclonus is about to deal the winning blow, we can see here one of the creatures within his own head stops him from making that final blow on Pyromagna. And he says, no, not this cycle then. And he wants to know what he should do now. Again, talking to these visions within his own head, because we know he has multiple. And then Pyromagna says, I think I've got my own battles to fight right now, so he can't really help Cyclonus out. Here we see Windcharger, and we see Windcharger looking like Megatron. Am I missing something here? Is he supposed to look like Megatron? Because his head is Megatron, right? That is the most Megatron looking head I've ever seen on someone who is not Megatron. It looks like Megatron. So the battle is in full swing, but Pyromagna joins the fray, and then they all leave together. At this point, Pyromagna speaks to the rest of the team and says basically they are going to join Optimus. They like this new Prime more than what they've seen so far of the Decepticons. So this is where we can see Prime is now also leaving Iacon and taking all of the Autobots with him. In the end, Megatron is super pissed because everyone is now leaving Iacon. The only reason he wanted to communicate with Prime was so that he could find his location and end this. With Prime now moving, this will never be over until Orion Pax Optimus Prime is dead. Next is 40 cycles later, and we can see Prime looking back at Iacon on top of a Titan. The next issue we can see here looks very, very interesting. Love the cover. Look at the Insecticons coming from. The other one, which is Escape, currently uses the Insecticons. So the Insecticons, and we see some Seekers as well. Beautiful looking cover there. The other options that we had is Prime holding the Matrix. So this was for this one. This is the cover that I got. And then the other cover that we could have got was Pyromagna on Cyclonus when he was transformed into his alt mode. Looking absolutely great. We also get a advert for the last run-in Ninja Turtles. More of these plushy former things. War World, we are not meant to be darkness. And then the awesome Cybertron artwork on the back. So that's everything from this episode, from this issue. I really enjoying this. I'm loving War World, loving Escape. You can check out both on this channel. And next week we're going to have some more of the My Little Pony ones coming up. Some great things coming out of IDW. Can't wait for the Grimlock one. Nice. Let me know your thoughts on this and everything else down in the comments. And I'll see you in my next video. Alright guys, in a bit. Peace!